I've encouraged us to think of the Orthodox Church as the Red Cross in the culture wars, there to help heal all the combatants, all the innocent bystanders, all the collateral damage, there to heal anyone there. In one sense, the bioethics of just having respect for others, seeking permission before you do something that could be harmful, those are basics. Those are perennial. And we think they're basic, but they're violated commonly. Actually being informed. In the States, one of our common procedural ethics is to have informed consent. Often informed is misinformed or uninformed. The consent becomes just a process of, do you agree? And then you do something. But those are perennial basic issues. I think the ones that impact our holy faith more. One is, I already mentioned conspiracy. I won't go into more of that for this. But because people of faith, because we Orthodox Christians know that there's more than just this immanent world, because we know there's something beyond. And we know historically that the powers that be can deceive us. And the powers that be may plot against us. We tend to, anytime someone gives an organizing theory about something bad that has happened, we tend to want to grasp onto it to bring order out of chaos. So I think one of our challenges as Orthodox is to understand that that's our penchant. We want to find order in chaos. We want the grand conspiracy. We want the explanation. We want to see the power that's trying to bring us down around every corner. We should know, again, the evil one plots against our salvation. There is a real conspiracy against us. But I think we should be slow to and sober-minded in how we assess knowledge, how we assess science. But I think I've already commented more on that. But then the large issues that are facing us are the obvious ones. They are gender affirmation. This was a science that was driven by ideology and not an ideology that followed science. This was some activists getting together in an international conference. I mean, we could do something similar here. And voting what the standard of care was. It wasn't evidence-based. It was, I would say, based on an ethic in their mind of compassion. But it's because they're coming from a mindset that compassion means affirming whatever the proclivities of an individual wants. They don't see the harm in this. We see the harm. We see that our own autonomous desire can be self-defeating. It can bring delusion to us. And we know that putting on a deception, deceiving the world to think that we're something that we're not, we know that that's very damning. Perpetuates a delusion and keeps us from the reality and from the ability to begin to repent and experience union with God, to experience theosis. We have to take off that delusion and deception first. So we know that many of the medical movements, especially, and this one's one of the most extremes, is in the name of love and compassion actually acting in a way that's contrary to it. Again, the answer, much like I said with the abortion case, I think isn't to engage in the culture wars and just say, this is the ultimate evil, you're horrible, awful people. I mean, many young people, some of the scientific evidence will say that young women on the autism spectrum are more likely to seek gender affirming care. These are people that are vulnerable and want identity, and they know they're different. And so perhaps engaging with them, helping them mature in knowing themselves, coming to begin to know God, being part of a loving community, maybe that's a better approach, a better focus, as opposed to the culture war. The culture war lens is a very dangerous lens to see the world. Because the way the culture war views issues is through enmity. Its tools are fear, divisiveness. And if we shouldn't, as Christians, we should see the unity. And we should see sin as sin and be able to call sin, sin. Don't hear me wrong. But we should call no one enemy. Christ says to love your enemies, but those are really those who call us or call God enemy. We should have no enemy ourselves. St. Silouan, I teach Christian ethics at St. Tikhon's Orthodox Theological Seminary. In the monastery chapel, there's an icon of St. Silouan, the Athonite, and his relics. And when I teach something about the culture war and enemies to the seminarians, I tell them, if you disagree with me, go into the reliquary, stare at the icon of St. Silouan, and point at him and say, you're wrong. Because on that icon, he's holding a scroll that says something like, he who calls his brother an enemy has the devil for a friend. Right? So the culture war, and I'm not saying there's not a culture war, there is. In recent talks, I've encouraged us to think of the Orthodox Church as the Red Cross in the culture wars. There to help heal all the combatants, all the innocent bystanders, all the collateral damage. There to heal anyone there. Occasionally we'll need to fight. Occasionally we'll need to fight to be able to keep right worship, to not be forced to participate in evil. Occasionally we'll need to, and occasionally we can find common allies, but we should really only think of it as for very specific purposes, and generally try to stay apart from that weaponization of ideology. Other issues, the perennial issue of abortion is not going away. I think at least we should keep letting those know that abortion is a great sin. But I think we should increasingly focus on motherhood, what it is to support mothers and families. There's undergirding issues behind this. It's not just this act of abortion. Euthanasia and assisted suicide. They're completely rational if one, again, in an ethic of compassion, thinks that medicine or society should eliminate suffering, even if the means are to eliminate the sufferer. So if there's an assumption that this is life is all that there is, and I think we can show that we have much greater hope and that there's no reason to despair. With the patients, I've had many patients ask me if I can speed things along. I always tell them, just be patient. It will come. And I never really had a patient ask twice. Most don't want to seek those things out of symptoms. They seek it out of control. They want to control their destiny, and they have fear. And often once they've expressed that fear and said, I want to realize this right of eliminating my life, as the time draws closer, they feel more and more pressure to go through with it, even though they may have hesitance. So I think we should show compassion and kindness and love. And that means also helping the dying so that they don't feel alone and isolated in such ways. Giving a better response, showing the culture and showing our communities what the dying process looks like, done better.